The sirens wailed. Red and blue lights flashed, painting the night in a dizzying strobe. The robbers, three masked figures in a beat-up sedan, pushed their luck and the car's engine to the limit. They'd misjudged the antique store's security system, and their escape was far less graceful than planned. Their heartbeats pounded in their ears, a frantic rhythm against the police radio chatter crackling on the scanner. The driver, a tight-lipped man called Fingers, swore under his breath as he navigated a sharp turn. Unbeknownst to them, their reckless flight was about to collide with a far more unpredictable force. As they sped through the outskirts of town, headlights glinted in the distance. An 18-wheeler, its logo barely visible in the darkness, rumbled towards the intersection. Fingers, blinded by adrenaline and the approaching high beams, didn't even have time to react. The crash was an explosion of metal, glass, and terrified animal cries. The robber's world dissolved into pain and the disorienting smell of gasoline and fur. When Fingers finally regained his senses, he realized with a jolt that the truck they'd hit wasn't carrying ordinary cargo. It was filled with reindeer, brought in for the town's annual holiday festival, and they were not happy. The reindeer, jolted from their slumber and now covered in shattered ornaments and fear stink, erupted from the wrecked trailer. Antlers, usually symbols of holiday cheer, became weapons of fury in the night. One by one, they charged into the darkness, their eyes reflecting the flashing lights of the crash site. Leading the charge was a massive buck, his coat as white as snow, with a single twisted antler. This was Blitzen, and the accident had only served to unleash a primal rage he didn't know he possessed. He'd always been a bit different from the other reindeer, more temperamental, less tolerant of reindeer games. Now his hooves pounded the pavement, eager for vengeance. Police officers, initially focused on apprehending the dazed robbers, found themselves outmatched. One officer, reaching for his taser, found himself on the receiving end of a swift antler to the chest. He lay groaning as Blitzen and his reindeer posse stormed past, their hooves drumming a terrifying rhythm against the asphalt. The night air, thick with the smell of gasoline, pine needles and fear, was pierced by a new sound. The panicked cries of reindeer. They're loose, and they're angry! News of the escaped reindeer, fueled by eyewitness accounts that bordered on the hysterical, spread through the town like wildfire. The escaped convicts became a secondary concern as residents barricaded themselves indoors, trading nervous whispers about the Reindeer Rampage. But the reindeer, seemingly driven by a dark and specific hunger, weren't attacking everyone. Their targets were specific: grandmothers. It started with Mrs. Periwinkle, known for her prize-winning gingerbread cookies and her habit of leaving out extra-strong peppermint candies for Santa. She was found in her rocking chair, her knitting needles scattered, her face a mask of terror frozen in time. The only clue: reindeer tracks on her porch and a half-eaten candy cane. Then it was Mrs. Higgins, who always had Werther's Originals in her purse and a twinkle in her eye. And Mrs. O'Malley, known for her elaborate Christmas light displays and her tendency to pinch cheeks while exclaiming, "Who's a good boy?" Each incident was more bizarre, more terrifying than the last. Years have passed since the Great Reindeer Rampage of 24. The town rebuilt, the escaped convicts were eventually apprehended, and life, as it always does, lumbered on. Yet, the memory of that night lingered. A chilling tale whispered around campfires and recounted with a shudder during the holidays. The annual holiday festival was immediately cancelled, deemed cursed. No one dared to bring in reindeer again, opting for safer, less vengeful options like inflatable snowmen and plastic reindeer lawn ornaments. Grandmothers, once the undisputed queens of holiday baking and impromptu cheek pinches, became an endangered species. They ventured out in groups, armed with umbrellas and cans of hairspray, deemed the most effective deterrent against rogue reindeer. The legend of Blitzen and his antlered gang lived on, a stark reminder that even the most jolly of holiday symbols could harbor a dark side. And every Christmas Eve, when the wind howled and the snow fell, residents couldn't help but listen for the sound of hooves on rooftops, their hearts pounding with a fear as primal as the reindeer's rage itself.